Om Tava Katha Amritam Tapta Jeevanam Kapiviriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. The nectar of thy words revives the scorched spirit of human beings. They purify the sinners and are the life of the holy. To hear them itself is auspicious and peace generating. They are the real givers who spread thy name far and wide. Om. Welcome to the scripture class today. And today's scripture, as you must have guessed from Mangalacharan, it is the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Uh, Wonderful scripture. Today is a lot about bhakti and the Sri Ramakrishna feeling of his identification with Radha, and a lot of description. There are not many conversation, but the description Yam gives today's meeting is wonderful description, and the songs that were there, and the environment, the situation, the vibes that have been created are so descriptive by him. How could he so much absorb the thing and express in such a beautiful way? Amazing, amazing. So the chapter is Festival at Surendra's House. It is chapter 23 on page 444. It was the the reference is the event of Sunday, June 15, 1884. Surendra, his official name was Suresh Chandra Mitra. Sri Ramakrishna used to call him Surendra, but perhaps his nickname also Surendra. But Sri Ramakrishna also always called him Surendra, and Yam also records him as the Surendra, not as Suresh Chandra Mitra. He was one of very devoted devotee or disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, very devoted. He had money, and he could afford to spend money to Sri Ramakrishna in various ways. Not super rich, but wealthier among other devotees. There were Sri Ramakrishna said there were few people who came to provide him whatever he needed, whom he called Rasadar. Rasadar means whatever Sri Ramakrishna needed for the devotees, for sadhana, uh, they provided one after another. The first one was Mathur Babu. Mathur Babu was the proprietor, one of the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar. The Jamindar, great Jamindar, wealthy. He was a really wealthy person. Compared to that, Suresh Chandra Mitra may not be that wealthy. He was working in the office, but among others, he was self-sufficient and he could afford something. There was another, after Mathur Babu passed away, then came Shambhu Malik. He also helped Sri Ramakrishna. But this Suresh Chandra Mitra was very helpful during Sri Ramakrishna later days, and also in the beginning of Ramakrishna Monastery at Baranagar. That time also Suresh Chandra Mitra helped a lot, providing financial assistance. When Sri Ramakrishna had to move from Shampupur to Kashipur, rent was very high, like 80 rupees per month. No one else could afford, and devotees they thought first they will share that by collecting the funds, by contributing some money. But Surendra said, "I will do all the things. 80 rupees per month was a big sum at the time. Till Sri Ramakrishna is here, I will bear that expenses." He used to bring flowers to Sri Ramakrishna. He used to bear many expenses for Sri Ramakrishna. Very devoted to Sri Ramakrishna, that Surendra was. That Sri Ramakrishna is going to Surendra's house that day. And whenever Sri Ramakrishna went any person's house, he will describe, he will read, that there is to be a great joy that day. People could go to Dakshineswar and meet Sri Ramakrishna, and they used to talk, and there was the company, temple, Ganga, everything was there. But whenever Sri Ramakrishna came and visited the houses of their disciples and devotees, There was a special mark not only to the household where he visited, but to all others who gathered. He used to be in different mood. He gave everything that day as it were. He used to himself go into a great samadhi. And these people who invited also, sometimes they themselves used to converse, sometimes they hired some musicians to sing some beautiful songs, and sometimes they brought some scholar to converse with Sri Ramakrishna if they didn't know, and enjoy Sri Ramakrishna conversing with some pandit or scholar about the spiritual things of the scripture. So they enjoyed just listening. They were not wise enough or studied enough to have their own question. Everything was latent as it were in them. But when pandits asked, some invited scholar pandits, then they enjoyed conversation with them, and all they listened very carefully. This day, Surendra had invited musicians, and a lot of songs were there. Sri Ramakrishna was in a mood of bhakti. He was just immersed inside and outside in the mood of bhakti. Let us read from the description of Yam. It's the today is more about the Yam's mind. You can understand how the power of his absorbing the vibes and the way of expressing. So wonderful, wonderful. So let us read the gospel. Sri Ramakrishna arrived in the morning at the garden house of Surendra, one of his beloved householder disciples, in the village of Kakurgachi near Calcutta. Surendra had invited him and a large number of the devotees to a religious festival. What was the religious festival? Sri Ramakrishna's coming there. That was the religious festival on June 15, 1884. So his house must have been big. He was a rich person. And he invited many known persons, and also Sri Ramakrishna was coming. So that was very wonderful thing. And he used to live in Kakurgachi. Ramchandra Datta, Kakurgachi was his Surendra's house. So Sri Ramakrishna told, and it was a village. Sri Ramakrishna told our Ramchandra Datta to do sadhana in a lonely place, somewhere there's no crowd, not there. So he was searching where to stay, a Nirjan Vasa, away from crowd, hustle bustle of city, some village, some rural area. So he found Kankurgachi to be very befitting, and he bought their land and built a house, and that Kakurgachi village became Surendra, that our Ramchandra Datta's house, where he invited later on Sri Ramakrishna also. And Sri Ramakrishna went there, sat there. That place is now a center of the Ramakrishna mission called Ramakrishna Mat Yogodhyan, Ramakrishna Yogodhyan Mat. That Yogodhyan or Jogodhyan, as called in Bengali, is in Kakurgachi. It used to be a village earlier. It is one part of now Calcutta. The sprawling Calcutta has engulfed all the villages nearby. And there is no village, Kakurgachi is no more a village. It is a rustling, bustling city of Calcutta now. There, Sri Ramakrishna visited in Ramchandra Datta's house also. That place is secret. Surendra's house, where it was, we don't know. That might be people who have gone might know, but we don't know about that. It's not a part of the Ramakrishna mission. But Ramchandra Datta house is a part of the Ramakrishna mission. So, in the village of Sri Ram, Kakurgachi, visit of Sri Ramakrishna created a great festival, religious festival with Surendra Mitra. Occasions like this were a source of great happiness and rejoicing to the Master's devotees. He was then seen at his best. Who? Sri Ramakrishna. Yam has seen Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineswar so many times, and also at the devotee's place where he visited. And he says Sri Ramakrishna is seen at his best at the devotee's house. How best? He joined with the other in devotional music and in chanting the names of God, frequently going into ecstasy. He poured out his entire soul in inspired talk, explaining the various phases of God consciousness. The impressions of such a festival lingered in the minds of all for many days. Yam was also looking forward for Sri Ramakrishna's visit in houses. Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineswar is to be more about talking with the few people that visited, and the conversation itself were very, very sweet and very important, no doubt. But here, Sri Ramakrishna, as if he gave everything. Remember Balaram Basu's house when Sri Ramakrishna says, "Come to Balaram's house, I'm going there tomorrow." Sri Ramakrishna said, "Okay." Sri Ram, this M said, "Okay." It was M's beginning when he was visiting Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineswar. Then he came back, M came back and said, "But he has not invited me and he doesn't know me. Balaram Basu doesn't know me. Why will they allow me? Why will he allow me to go? Not unknown person." Sri Ramakrishna had said that time. So just say my name that I have invited you. And wherever God's name is going on, wherever God's glory is being sung, there's no need of any invitation. You that itself is the invitation that devotees can go. And devotees are always welcome to the house of devotees. Known or unknown doesn't matter. You become known in your very first meeting there. So that was Sri Ramakrishna's meeting, that this joy created in the houses of devotees, it lingered for a long time even after the festival was gone. So he, just before even the meeting happened there, he's writing all this introduction about the meeting in Surendra's house. The devotees stood in rows inside the big hall of the garden house to hear the music sung by the professional singers. The floor of the room was covered with a carpet over which was spread a white sheet. A few bolsters, pillows, and cushions lay here and there for the comfort of the people. Big hall, carpet, sheet. Just to see the description, Yam will create you visualize the thing. You don't have to see watch YouTube. All is in his words, creating. Just read carefully, and you can imagine big hall, people standing on rows, musicians all have come there, and there is a carpet spread there, and on that is the white seat, and there are here and there are cushions, pillows, bolsters, etc., for a senior devotee to sit on the carpet and have support from the back. The musicians were singing of the episodes in the life of Sri Krishna, especially associated with his divine love for the gopis of Vrindavan. This was a theme which always appealed to the master and would throw him into ecstatic moods. So it was Vrindavan Leela, as it were. So gopis, how they felt about Sri Krishna, the attraction when Sri Krishna is not there, viraha, all those were described beautifully in Bengali songs. And this speciality of singing Bengali songs was they could make the words, and they could add the lines to just amplify the feeling of the devotees, of the gopis, and the devotees of Vrindavan in the life of Sri Krishna. So that is the episode, and Sri Ramakrishna used to be overwhelmed with this feeling of gopis and Radha about the love of Krishna, overwhelming love for Krishna, and he went into ecstasy. That is what the samadhi is. He went into samadhi many times. That's what Yam says. So much of joy. And when Sri Ramakrishna used to be in samadhi, as this picture you see here on the back, Sri Ramakrishna is in samadhi at the house of Keshav Chandra Sen. And his face beaming. We can imagine in Surendra's house also, when Sri Ramakrishna would go into samadhi, he'd be like that, standing unconscious of his own body, being supported by someone else, and his face beaming with the bliss of love of God. So this type of thing must have been repeating. Photographs were very few. There were no cell phone cameras at that time. Photographers had to be invited, and each person only could afford that, and photos could be taken. Otherwise, people didn't have personal camera, was not there. Only studios had the camera at that time. It is 1884. Let us go ahead. Krishna, God incarnate, lived the years of his boyhood in Vrindavan as a cowherd. He tended his cows on the green meadows along the bank of the Jamuna and played his flute. The milkmaids could not resist the force of his divine attraction. At the sound of his flute, they would leave their household duties and go to the bank of the sacred river. Their love for Krishna destroyed their attachment to worldly things. Neither the threats of their relatives nor the criticism of others could make them desist from seeking the company of Krishna. In the love of the gopis for Krishna, there was not the slightest trace of worldliness. It was the innate attraction of God for pure souls, as of the magnet for iron. The author of the Bhagavata has compared this love to the all consuming love of a woman for her beloved. Before the honors of that love, all barriers between man and God are swept away. The devotee surrenders himself completely to his divine beloved and in the end become one with him, with God. So Yam's description about Radha's love or Gopi's love for Krishna, it is love between devotee and God, nothing else. But its description fits between the love of a woman and her husband or her beloved. So that Madhura Bhava is a state of bhakti. There is nothing else. And Madhura Bhava, as Yam so clearly writes, like a scholar in the Bhagavatam, there is no trace of worldliness in that love. It is pure love of devotee for God. And Bhagavata writer, the Vyasa Deva says, it is like the love of iron and magnet. So there is nothing else, just pure attraction of God for his devotees, who happen to be the gopis of Vrindavan. So it could be men. Only description is more about the gopis of Vrindavan. There were devotees of Gopas are also there. But gopis episode with the gopis was so intense love between this Krishna and the gopis with this love of God that more comes forth. This is very intimate and very strong bond of love between God and the devotee. So this in bhakti is described as Madhura Bhava, which includes all other bhavas. There are five bhavas of devotion. One is called Shanta Bhava, the love of rishis for God. Very calm, quiet, but there is lot of attraction and love is there. But not the exuberance of love is there. There is no, the love is not manifested as the madness. So they're meditating on the divine, like the rishis meditating on God. That Sri Ramakrishna had the vision. Shanta Bhava. And there is vatsalya when God is considered as the child and the devotee becomes like parent, and there is love without any glory of God. So God becomes like as if devotee has to take care of God. Only giving, caring, loving is there. No asking for anything from God. So that is also another kind of love that the devotees had. Another bhava of devotee for God. And there is Sakhya Bhava. There is a Sakhya is friend. God becomes friend, equal. There is a equality with God. And that is also another kind of bhava. God and I are equal. So we enjoy the company like friends. And that's mostly between men and woman. That's how this friendship, the joy of friendship or love of the company of each other. So the fourth one is called Dasya Bhava. The devotee thinks he or she are the servants of God. So they're always ready to fulfill the wishes of God and try to serve God, whatever God wants. And there is great joy in serving God and fulfilling their smallest wishes and serving them as much and as in many ways as possible. And you feel blessed to serve God, the beloved, as often we find in the case of mother's parents serving the little child. They provide everything. That's also in the Vatsalya Bhava, there is something of Dasya Bhava, also you can say. And the example, traditional example given is Hanuman as the Dasya Bhava, the height of Dasya Bhava. And there is the Madhura Bhava, the attraction between gopis and Krishna, God. So that is very intimate, exuberant, very mad feeling of that thing. So in Shanta, it's more of meditation, peace. But in Madhura, when the flute played by Krishna, all they gave up their duties. They forgot what is right, what is wrong, what will be the criticism, what will people say, and gave up everything and ran to Krishna. Krishna was a very young boy. He was not, it is not love between boy and girl. Krishna was 10, 11, 12 years old. He was not old at all. And the gopis were the women of the household. They had children, their husbands. So more of the criticism is not about why they are attracted to this boy. This is now we do consider that way, but it was more of why they could give up their duties towards their children, towards their husband, towards their cows, towards their household, and run to meet Krishna, a mere boy, and giving up everything. So criticism was all that. What they find in Sri Krishna, that they can give up everything, all their worldly sense for the worldly duties, all was forgotten. Yam beautifully says that this attraction of the Krishna removed their attachment for the worldliness. All everything was set aside. Everything became secondary. God alone became primary thing in their life. And it was Krishna's flute, Krishna's presence, Krishna's attraction. It is not of anything else. It is God's attraction for the devotee. It cannot be described with any other attraction. If you want to say human attraction, it's about the sweetheart, attraction of the sweetheart, but people forget about that. Sweetheart is just the example of attraction for the of the gopis towards Krishna. It's not sweetheart thing at all. Krishna is mere boy, 11, 12 years. When he became king of Mathura, left Vrindavan, he was 11 years old. He fought with Krishna and Chanura and Musti, all those things, Kamsa and Chanura. He was just mere child of like 11, 12 years. So there's no question about the thing, but it is described as love of between the boy and girl, love man and woman, where they are each other as sweethearts. So that is the most powerful attraction between man and woman. So that attraction is tried to compare very in distant way this attraction of Krishna for the devotees of God or for the gopis. Just by the way it is said, that's why it's called Madhura Bhava. But this attraction is much more than that. For worldly people, that is the only attraction people experience or they can feel. But what is the real attraction of God for the devotees? They cannot feel. So that is the example given. You experience such type of love, such type of attraction. Here is that attraction manifold big. And that's what the Madhura Bhava means that way. So it is just a faint example of attraction of between two sweethearts. Otherwise, this Madhura Bhava is very strong attraction for of the devotee for God. So that is the Vrindavan episode or Madhura Bhava episode, the one of the bhavas or the feeling or the relationship between God and devotee. That's what beautifully Yam describes about that in the paragraph. Now Yam goes on describing about the Radha's love for Krishna. Radha was the foremost of the gopis and Krishna's chief playmate. So, foremost of the gopis, she was like the leader of the gopis. Gopis were cowherd girls, the cowherd women. Nothing was there in them. Very simple, but pure, very pure. They say the gopis were all rishis in their previous incarnations. Just to enjoy love of gopis, love of God, they had become the gopis in this incarnation, just to enjoy love of God. Rishis were like the Shanta Bhava. Now they want to have more of a joy of love of God, and they became gopis and enjoying the Madhura Bhava, intensest love of God. So that's what they are. And among them, Radha is like the leader of the gopis and Sri Krishna's playmate. It is not there in Radha name is not there in Bhagavata, where all this Rasa Leela and all this is described about Krishna's dance, divine sport with the gopis, all described. But Radha name is not there. Pradhana Gopi, the leader of the gopis, that name is there. Radha came later on. So Radha is not there in that this monumental and most primary scripture of the Vaishnavas. It's not there. But the attraction between Radha and Krishna is like the attraction between devotee and God at this acme, at its highest. That's what it is saying. Radha was the foremost of the gopis and Krishna's chief playmate. She felt an indescribable longing for union with him. So, the devotee who is always mad with the love. Others might be that way, but for Radha, Krishna was the only thing. God was the only thing. That's why Radha is called Alladini Shakti. Alladini means the she is Shakti, no doubt. Shakti incarnate as Radha. But what type of Shakti? Not the destroying Shakti, but Alladini Shakti means Shakti manifesting as the bliss, as the joy of love of God, whole manifested in that way. That's what is Radha is described. The manifestation of Shakti is in the Alladini joy of love of God, the bliss of love of God. A moment's separation from Krishna would rend her heart and soul. During many a moonlit night, Krishna would dance with Radha and the gopis in the sacred groves of Vrindavan. And on such occasions, the gopis would experience the highest religious ecstasy. At the age of 11, Krishna was called to be the king of Mathura. He left the gopis, promising them, however, his divine vision whenever they concentrated on him in their hearts. You see, this is the fact. He was only 11 when he left Vrindavan, went to Mathura, and in Mathura also fought with Kamsa and gave the kingdom to Vasudeva, his own father, to whom it legally belonged. And then he was there, and later on he moved to Dwaraka. So Krishna became and growing, and he moved to Dwaraka. So that is the Radha and Krishna episode. And there is to be a lot of dances in groves of Vrindavan. That grove is still there. It's called Nidhuban Grove in Vrindavan. There are some little bushes out there. They say Krishna, even now also, he dances with the gopis. So because he said to gopis, whenever you think of us, I will be there with you. And the story in Bhagavata says, gopis came, flute came, and there was moonlit night, and gopis were dancing with the mad with love of Radha. And his gopi found she was dancing with one Krishna of his own. So there were many Krishnas. Each gopi had her Krishna. That what everyone felt like that. And they say still now there is Krishna and the gopis dance goes on. And that's why this Nidhuban, nobody stays there. Somebody wanted to see, still goes on, let me go and see. They all become mad, they say. Really mad, not mad out of love for God. Mad the God is. So people don't stay there. They just closed, but they keep it clean, and they say, there is always dance of gopis and Krishna there. The Nitya Krishna, Nitya Gopi, Nitya Radha is there in Vrindavan. That still goes on because the incarnation and display doesn't end with the physical going out there, physical life. Krishna said, whenever you remember me with concentration, I will come. So I am not separate from you. That's what he said. For centuries and centuries, the lovers of God in India have been worshipping the divine by recreating in themselves the yearning of the gopis for Krishna. Many of the folk songs of India have as their theme this sweet episode of Krishna's life. Sri Chaitanya revived this phase of Hindu religious life by his spiritual practice and his divine visions. In his ecstatic music, Chaitanya assumed the role of Radha and manifested the longing to be united with Krishna. For a long period, Sri Ramakrishna also worshipped God as his beloved Krishna, looking on himself as one of the gopis of or as God's handmaid. So Radha's this love was enacted more by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he is the one who mm, could create that longing of gopis for Krishna in himself, felt himself as the Radha or gopis, and an enormous love of Krishna. Even Sri Ramakrishna practiced this Madhura Bhava, dressing himself as Radha or the Gopi and longing for Krishna. Ha Krishna, where are Krishna? And that Viraha, it is called, is longing for Krishna itself is a great agony and at the same time great joy of meeting Krishna, remembering Krishna. And that's what this comes from. Actually, this Vrindavan, the finding of Vrindavan was all lost. It is there in the Bhagavatam, but where is Vrindavan? People didn't know where it happened. It is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual finding Vrindavan in that place. He found where the Vrindavan was and where was Nidhuban, where is Vrindavan. And then he asked his disciple Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, to go there and practice sadhana there. And after that, the Vrindavan's glory started happening. Like 500, 600, 15, 14, 15th century, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 500, 600 years ago. Before that, Vrindavan was there in the Bhagavatam. But where was that Vrindavan? Not known. The Vrindavan's exact position where this Leela happened, it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual research, the spiritual finding where real Vrindavan was. After that, it became so famous. It was for him to find out. So that's why he made himself practice this Madhura Bhava Sadhana. Sri Ramakrishna also practiced that Madhura Bhava Sadhana, that how beautifully Yam is describing that. At Surendra's garden house, the kirtan had begun early in the morning. The musicians were singing about the love of Krishna and Radha for each other. The master was frequently in samadhi. The room was crowded with devotees. Among them, Bhavanath, Niranjan, Rakhal, Surendra, Ram, and Yam, and many members of the Brahmo Samaj. You see how Brahmo Samaj now being attracted to Sri Ramakrishna thing? And this kirtan was going on since morning, even before Sri Ramakrishna had arrived. He came in the morning, but he had already arranged that thing. It was going on. In accordance with the custom, the kirtan had begun with an introductory song about Gauranga, not what about life of Gauranga, and then comes this Madhura Bhava Krishna Radha Krishna Leela. So introductory song about Krishna Gauranga. What Gauranga introductory song? Gauranga embraces monastic life. So there are many songs about Gauranga. Oh, how heartless was the barber who could cut your beautiful hair to make you seven-headed. How could he do that to that so glowing, so wonderful personality of Chaitanya Gauranga? Who could do that? All this is very beautifully described in the case of Bharati's house in Katwa in West Bengal. He took sannyasa there. So how could barber shave your so curly, so wonderful hair? He was a heartless person indeed, like that. All different episodes, they make the songs of that. So here was about the sannyasa of Gauranga. It starts from that. and began introductory song Gauranga. Gauranga embraces monastic life. Then he becomes sannyasi under the discipleship of um, Keshav Bharati. His guru was Keshav Bharati, one of the Dasanami Sampradaya. Dasanami Sampradaya is the one who follow Vedanta. So Vedanta and Bhakti do not have any contradiction. Vedanta, the Aham Brahmasmi, all Dasanami are the Shankaracharya followers. And this Bhakti is also part of Vedanta. Equally, this Keshav Bharati, after he was actually, he got mantra, Diksha mantra, before sannyasa, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got in Gaya from sannyasi. He was from the Puri, Ishwara Puri was his name. He was also Dasanami Sampradaya, Dasanami. That monks of the Shankaracharya group, sect. There are 10 monks, 10 titles for the disciples, sannyasis of in Shankara Sampradaya. So of the 10, one is Puri, another is Bharati. As we know, there are Puri, Bharati, Saraswati, and they are very commonly known, Puri, Bharati, Saraswati. But there are others, Asrama, Vana, Sagara, like those, many other are there, total 10 titles of sannyasis in this thing. Tirtha, Ram Tirtha, so some famous are there. So this Ishwarapuri disciples, Dasanami Sampradaya. And Keshav Bharati's sannyasi disciple, again that was Dasanami Sampradaya. And all highest knowledge of Vedanta he had acquired. He was incarnation of God, he was full of knowledge. And also to practice, he had acquired the knowledge of Vedanta, oneness of existence that he had in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he praised the bhakti movement. That was the need of the time. The society was divided into castes, into groups, and between the two different religions there was so much of division between Hindus and Muslims and all those. This was the Muslim era. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bhakti movement all leveled, even the Muslims became his disciples. And also this division of caste system was not there at all. In all were welcome in that. So Hindus could be united under the leadership of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bhakti movement. Otherwise, in traditional sannyasa, it was always that only Brahmins had the right to become sannyasin, and all those things were there in traditional sannyasa. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't go to make sannyasi. There came another after 500 years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Another person came to unite whole of India and say, who said that sannyasa is only for Brahmins? Anyone who wants to become sannyasi has already become Brahmin. He is Brahmin. She is Brahmin. So he said, anybody who wants to take sannyasa and has purified himself by leading the life of brahmacharya is fit to become a sannyasi like any other Brahmin. Who said that? Swami Vivekananda. Then he said, why only monks? What about nuns? Anyone of any caste who wants to become a nun is welcome to become nun. That desire to renounce everything, that power can happen when the heart has already become Brahmin. So no distinction of caste. Whole Hindu society was made one. Caste distinctions were leveled up by Swami Vivekananda in other episode to unite the people, the society of India in spiritual, and give the spiritual right for spirituality in spiritual experience for every Indian, every human being. Swami Vivekananda went beyond even Indian. He said that every human being has the right to become a sannyasi, irrespective of gender, American, Swiss, Argentinian, anyone can become sannyasin. So that sannyasin was given in our order that we follow. There are sannyasis of so many, from so many religious background. There are sannyasis, and there is no conversion in Ramakrishna order. From today you have become Hindu. Now you have right to sannyasa. From today you are Brahmin. Nothing like that. Anyone wants to take sannyasa, he or she is welcome. For she it is Sarada Math, for he it is Ramakrishna Math. and they become sannyasa. We have sannyasin monks from many countries, from Netherlands, from Argentina, from Brazil, from many countries and many religions also. From many religions, Christianity, of course, there are Hindus, of course, Christians, Jews, Jews, even your we have Muslim monks are also there. So like that, there is no bar for any tag of religion, any human being born of any level in social status, or any nationality, any culture he comes from or she comes from. Any person can become nun in Saradamat, following the idea of Swami Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and Swami Vivekananda. That's what Gauranga Mahaprabhu did. It is not Swami Vivekananda did. We will give credit to the Hinduism itself, that whenever need arises, Hinduism throws out some powerful spiritual being. Shankaracharya was one of them. He came at the time when the Hindu religion was in decline and people were converting to other faiths. So Shankaracharya brought them back to Hindu fold. That was a great power. He preached Advaita Vedanta, but how he revived Hinduism as such and united the whole society of India and brought back Hinduism. And comes now Muslim invasion and the problem and all that, casteism. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. Now comes still difficult time with the British aggression and the British empowerment. They were very subtle and psychological. They were saying, "Oh, your religion is bad. You are poor because you follow Hinduism. We are the greatest. Christianity is the greatest religion. Because you follow Hinduism, you are that poor." So, man, there's so much division in caste. Only higher caste can become sannyasis. Only this caste can go to the temple. You are not allowed. There's so much of untouchability in your religion. Throw away religion. Embrace Christianity. You'll all be treated equal. Swami Vivekananda said, "Stop, stop. What are you saying? Our religion never says that. It was never a part of religion. Something that happened, aberration in the medieval time. So remove that aberration and bring forth Hinduism as it is. Everyone has right to go to every temple. Every human being is a temple of God. Untouchability is a bane and misunderstanding of the practice of Hinduism, and everyone has the right to practice spirituality as far as one likes. There is no barrier or bar in the Hinduism." Swami Vivekananda brought back Hinduism to unite the whole of India and people, whole world, we can say. Rightly, that Chakravarti Rajagopalachari, he was a very great thinker. He has written a book called Ramakrishna Upanishad, calling the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. He says Sri Ramakrishna's words are not less than the Upanishadic thoughts. So he said, gives the name Sri Ramakrishna Upanishad, that book he wrote. He was the first and only Indian Governor General of India. After the Britishers left, India was not a republic, still under the Britishers, so they left. India got independence. Then someone Indian had to be placed as the Governor General of India. So it was Rajagopalachari who was chosen to be one of the first citizen, you can say, first citizen of India after that. And he said that without Swami Vivekananda, we would have not got our freedom. That's what he said. We could not have got our freedom without Swami Vivekananda. And we would have lost our religion. So much he thought and said this. This is the power that Hinduism itself has thrown whenever needed in Shankaracharya, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in Swami Vivekananda, and all great sages and saints, Mirabai, Tulsi Das, Kabir Das, and your all in the southern poets. Those all are Tyagaraja, and all those great poets who united whole Hinduism and brought them under the flood tide of this bhakti movement. Purandara Dasa in Karnataka, Tyagaraja in Tamil Nadu, and your Andhra Pradesh, in Telugu language. So all that came forth whenever needed. People had been coming all around, strengthening Hinduism, binding Hinduism, and uniting India as such, cultural unity of India. That Hinduism is always doing that. That was the power that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did during his time. And instead of preaching the Vedanta, of which he was the student or practitioner or who had the experience of Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi, he said, keep that aside. Now is the need for Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Jadavaya, Madhavaya, Govindaya, Hari Hare Nama, Krishna Jadavaya Nama. So, like that, he sang in the Nagar Kirtan and they brought back the people in the Kirtan and gave with the Kirtan, there was the force of his spiritual awareness, his purity, and his spiritual power, which filled the heart of the devotees, revived back the Hinduism. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the one who found out where that Krishna episode had come in Vrindavan, and he revived Vrindavan as such. So that is the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, after saying uh, that how this episode of Gauranga's life has become sannyasi and all that, what is the time? I forgot my watch. 20. The musician sang, O Gaur, come back to Nadia. So now Gauranga becomes sannyasin. Now his mother told, he said, I cannot live at home after I become sannyasi. Everyone is supposed to roam around to give up his home and hearth and relatives. Mother said, no, no, you can go to first thought was he should go to Varanasi. He said, don't go to Varanasi. Rather go to Puri, because Puri many people go and I can get news about you. After all, he was the only child, now surviving son, and he became sannyasi. And he said, go to Puri and stay there so that I get often news about that you are keeping well. That much is enough. So he went to Puri. And then, oh Gaur, come back to Nadia. The people, devotees of Nadia, are saying, like they say to the gopis, said to Krishna, oh Krishna, come back from Mathura to Vrindavan. Mathura, Vrindavan is not very far, only 6 kilometers. But Mathura was still they have to walk, and gopis will not go to Mathura. He said, the Krishna had to come here. We love him so much. Why can he go leaving us? And later on, not only he never came to Mathura from Vrindavan from Mathura, he went far away to the west to Dwaraka. It's quite far, many kilometers away from even Mathura. Krishna went, but Krishna was always there in the heart of all gopis and gopas, all devotees of Vrindavan. Next, the musician sang about the anguish of Radha at her separation from Krishna. When Sri Ramakrishna heard the song, he suddenly stood up. Assuming the mood of Radha, he sang in a voice laden with sorrow, improvising the words, O friend, either bring my beloved Krishna here or take me to him, Sri Ramakrishna said. Thus singing, he completely lost himself in Radha and could not continue the song. He became speechless, his body motionless, his eyes half closed, his mind totally unconscious of the outer world. He was in deep samadhi. See the description of Yam about Sri Ramakrishna. His mind in totally absorbed in samadhi, and his whole physical features he's describing. Eyes half closed, he's standing, he couldn't, voice choked, like that. To such situations, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu writes beautifully in only one thing that he composed after that is called Shikshastakam. In that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu writes, when that day will dawn, O Krishna, while thinking of you, my eyes will shed tears like the monsoon season, and my throat will be choked. I could not speak, and my hairs of my body will stand on end. When that day will come, thinking of you, my whole bodily features will change. In Bhakti Shastra, these changes in the bodily features is called vikara. Vikara means changes. And what vikara is called sattvika vikara. Shedding tears, poor hairs standing on end. They say even the hairs of the head stand on end. So hair is standing on end, cannot speak, totally oblivious of the world, oblivious of his or her own body, and mind fully given in love of God. So that is the viraha. It's called the viraha. The mm, you, the yearning to unite with the most beloved, to the divine being. This type of viraha cannot happen between man and woman. It can happen only between devotee and God. Otherwise, in where all this woman love episode are all self-centered. It's a selfish love. This is unselfish divine love. That one is worldly love. So there is a love for one's own enjoyment. If I get him, I will get this gift. We'll go to this restaurant. We'll go to watch this movie. Like that thing in that love. Nothing is there. So in here, there's nothing want. It's only just I want my beloved, and that is the only thing. This Birava is total surrender, total forgetting. That's why Yam writes beautifully that Sri Ramakrishna was had become he lost himself in Radha. Means he became Radha. He immersed in the thought of Radha. So that is what he lost himself in Radha. That is what is this feeling of this Madhura Bhava, immersed in Madhura Bhava. After a long time, he regained normal consciousness and said in the same heart-rending voice, "O friend, take me to my beloved Krishna and make me your bond slave. I want Krishna and nothing else. I shall be your handmaid forever. O friend, it was you who taught me how to love Krishna. O Krishna, O beloved of my soul." All Sri Ramakrishna made this to sing different lines. This type of lines are called Akar Deva. Akar Deva means you add some your own feeling in the like in rhyming with the song's lines, and you sing those in the in the emotion of singing. You add this Akar Deva, and you add so many things. And he's saying, "You taught me to," his gopis, he says, "You taught me to love Krishna. Now take me to Krishna, bring Krishna to me, and I will become your bond slave. Whatever you say, I will do." That's beautiful. The professional musicians continued their song. They took the part of Radha and sang as if she were talking to her friend. "O friend, I shall not go again to the Jamuna to draw water. Once I beheld my beloved friend under the Kadamba tree. Whenever I pass it, I am overwhelmed." Now Radha is reminded everything about Krishna. When she goes to Kadamba tree, she thinks of Krishna. When she sees Tamal tree, she thinks of Tamal is blackish tree, and the black color makes her feel it is Krishna perhaps. Like the Kadamba also, its fruit had many spikes, and like hair standing on end, it also reminds her of Krishna because there was that was the tree, common tree, wild tree that grown. So they were there, and that reminds her of Krishna. The professional musicians continued their song. They took the part of Radha and sang as if they were talking to her friend. The master again became abstracted. Heaving a deep sigh, he said, "Amen, Amen." So he was totally in the mood of Radha. That was Sri Ramakrishna's feeling. Just marvel at the way how Yam describes about the feeling of Sri Ramakrishna, as if Sri Ramakrishna he has entered into the mind. Sri Ramakrishna lost himself in Radha, and Yam seems to have lost himself in Sri Ramakrishna. How beautifully he is describing what Sri Ramakrishna was feeling. The song went on. Radha says, "Even the desire for Krishna's presence has cooled and refreshed by my feverish body." So, body's feverish, thinking of Krishna, but it has cooled by the and things of the thinking of Krishna is finding the Krishna in present. Now and then the musician improvised lines to the music, continuing in the attitude of Radha. "Oh friends, you can wait. Show me Krishna, my beloved." Again, "Do not bother about my ornaments. I have lost my most precious ornament." And again, "Alas, I have fallen on evil days. My happy days are over." And finally, "This unhappy time lingers so long." This is all about viraha or yearning for divine. So sometimes she feels that Krishna has come, sometimes she just wants to unite it, and sometimes feeling the missing Krishna, she feels these are the most evil days that have come through me because I don't find Krishna to for myself. So this is Radha's yearning for Krishna that's so beautifully described in these songs created by many poets. And these musicians are also must be, they also have the feeling of this thing. They have to create that feeling, have to develop that feeling. That's why they can catch this of other listeners there. Yam was definitely feeling that thing, and he was observing everything, how they are listening the thing, and how Sri Ramakrishna is reacting, watching Sri Ramakrishna, watching devotees, and listening to the song, making note of everything of the lines of the song. The song will continue in our next class. So this is, and there is no conversation of Sri Ramakrishna. All that he described is the situation, atmosphere, the vibes of the singing of this episode of Radha Krishna in Surendra Mitra's house in Kakurdachi at that festival. So, so this much for today. So we'll close with this episode here. We'll continue. The songs will continue. Still, there are a lot of things of Sri Ramakrishna life will come. Next time, a lot of songs that he sang, and he was out of his own consciousness, saying "Aha, aha." So he was so overwhelmed with bliss. So next Friday, what is the date? Today is 14th. Oh, 14th Friday, that class will be online only. That will be no in-person class next Friday. And that is the Buddha Gita. Now the closing chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Panamastu Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padpadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhur. Good night to everyone.